Alrighty, we're live from Columbus, OH, and this is the Ramsey Show After Show. As we wait for YouTube to catch up and verify audio, and then we can get going. Live. Alrighty, that should be good. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's good. Alrighty. I'm Coach Steve Money. I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. This is the Ramsey Show After Show. You're watching it on youtube.com/Coach Steve Money. And my financial content you can find on my page. Just scroll past the Oak Island playlist and you'll see the Ramsey Show After Show playlist. Today is show number 530. So I've been doing it for a minute, as the kids say. I think they still say that sometimes. Answering your financial questions playlist as well. 130, 8 in there. And the music playlist has 12 Ramsey adjacent songs in there, such as How to Do the Baby Steps Right. Ready. Market report, and overall up today. NASDAQ just a hair down. The S&P 500 up 0.064, so just a hair up. But at 0.41, Russell Small Cap Index leading the charge today. Let's see, how do we do this? I'm forgetting. We check the rest of the planet. Everything up in Europe, or, mostly up in Asia, as far as the US dollar. The euro is up against it. Japanese yen up against it. The British pound love up against the US dollar. Canadian dollar, they're not sorry about it today. And all the Australian dollar saying NAR and making it a clean sweep against the US dollar for futures tomorrow. Basically the same deal. A little bit down for the NASDAQ, actually a little bit down for the S&P. And so, but of course, this doesn't really mean anything because it can all change and even be completely reversed tomorrow. Just depends on what happens and what traders do. We have, what is today? The 28th. So on Wednesday, we got the Microsoft and the Meta reporting earnings and outlooks. And depending on how that goes, that could shape the rest of the week for the entire market. May 1st, Eli Lilly, MicroStrategy, the Apple, and the Amazon. Big day on May 1. Let's check headlines. I don't have a specific article today. Let's check the headlines. Slide to rise, fifth straight day in lead up to big tech earnings. As we said, they're coming. Just like winter is coming. Actually, summer. It's a good, it's over 80 today in the Columbus, Ohio city. Temu. And I did not know how to pronounce it until I saw they had a Super Bowl ad and they said Temu. And I always thought it was Temu, and it's not. They had import charges of about $145 after Trump tariff, more than doubling the price of many items, doubling it. Well, that's how it works. That's how it works. People trying to get things cheap by getting it from China. And so that's not how that works. So when there's going to be tariffs involved, then you are going to pay more for it. But it still may not be more overall. 145% is a lot on it, But if it's still cheaper than getting it in the US, people will still do that. DHL reverses course and resumes shipping packages valued over $800 to US consumers. Yeah, I was wondering about that, why they would do that anyway. That's nutty. Just because they're tariffs. Oh, we don't like it as a company. Who cares? NFTs that cost millions of dollars replaced with error message after project downgraded to free Cloudflare plan. Great. Great. And this is why you shouldn't invest in dumb virtual crap. Wealthy consumers up there spending last quarter while the rest of America is cutting back. That's correct. I saw something about the owner of, or CEO, whatever, of Chipotle announced that spending is going down as far as in their restaurants. And so that, of course, is what matters most to them. Has been shown Elon Musk Doge savings might come to nothing. Who knows what their math there is on that. People will twist numbers and stuff to make it work out for their narrative for sure. Video shows cruise passengers fighting at Galveston Terminal. 24 travelers banned. Yeah, you would think on a cruise, you think everybody would be chill and relaxed, but anytime there's like that many people together, stuff like that could happen. What does Forbes say? U.S. dollar Fed warning braces Bitcoin for a BlackRock mega force price shock. Okay. OpenAI adds shopping to ChatGPT in a challenge to Google. All right. And that's fine. Nobody. And so if them adding shopping to ChatGPT, is that going to lead to them having a monopoly if everybody starts using that instead of Google Ads? And then you got to break up that company too. Just whatever company gets too successful, then we got to break them apart because it's an illegal monopoly. And so that's kind of nutty. And I guess that'll do it for the market report. This one from XX Voices. XX take home is $800 bi-weekly, and I don't see how I can start saving for retirement now that I'm 30. Well, you being 30 has nothing to do with it. 800 bi-weekly, so that's 400 take home a month. Well, guess what you got to do? You got to live under that. Yeah, so I'm not getting any younger and I have nothing saved for retirement. My parents keyed me in on their own retirement. My dad has maybe $7,000. He's a couple years away from retirement. Yeah, hey, guess what? $7K is not enough. My mom has $30,000 saved in crypto, dumb as crap, and a decade left before retirement. But she'd been self-employed her whole life, so no Social Security since she hasn't paid enough into it. Me, I'm in over $80,000 of debt and $20,000 in student loans. Okay, well, so what you would do is follow the baby steps. You aren't thinking about retirement at this point. So again, this is what people are nutty, and they do. They try to do everything all at the same time, and you cannot do that. What you should do is the baby steps, and oh, look at that. Step 1 is save the $1,000 for starter emergency fund. If you have any more in savings than that, such as several callers today on the Ramsey show, you apply all of that money. It's not like, oh, then we won't have any savings. Tough crap. Look, it says save $1,000. It doesn't say have more savings so you can be more comfortable. It doesn't say that. So steps 1, 2, and 3 in order, one at a time. And this is your life here until you get done with step 3. So you don't think about other steps. There's no need to think about it because you start thinking about it. You say, well, maybe I should start it now. No, you shouldn't. That's dumb as crap. It's 1, 2, 3 are done first before you would start investing. If you're already investing when you start the baby steps, then you stop investing until you get back to step 4. So you're doing it wrong. Let's see, what else was it? I have an 11,000 card that I owe 12,000 on. Dumb as crap. APR is 25%. Dumb as crap. So you got to pay off your. You're not anywhere near it. So you got more problems than not having a bunch. How much did he say he has? Oh no, the dad has 7K. Okay. Oh, maybe this 30-year-old. And also, you know, a 30-year-old bringing up what parents have in retirement, that's got nothing to do with you, dog. You got to do your own thing. You're 30. You're 30. How about we do our own thing and let mommy and daddy do their own thing. But yeah, you do the baby steps in order. That's the advice here. I was on the show, paid off $14,267.63. Good job. Oh boy, did they rip me a new one? Why would they? Oh, did they tell you because you had more than you had this in savings? Yeah, that was dumb as crap. Go to work and work as much as possible and stop making excuses. So I did. Great. That is the advice. Work more. And that would be the answer also for this gentleman that take home bi-weekly. And see, you can't. Right, you're saying, how can I start for saving retirement now that you're 30? You don't start it because you're 30. You start it when you get to step 4, which is the retirement step. The retirement savings step is step 4. And you don't do that just because you turn 30. There's no age stipulation on the baby steps at all. No matter how old you are, you start them when you do them 1 to 7. Whatever time you start them. And again, steps 1, 2, and 3, one at a time in order without even thinking about higher steps what this person is doing. And that's why I don't want you to even think about the higher steps, because you're thinking about that instead of putting more effort into getting step 2 done and paying off your dumb ass debt, sir. Oh, let's see. Where are we? 401k advice. This is from M. Nitro. Okay. M. Nitro. M. Night Shyamalan, maybe. 401k. There'd be a twist at the end of this question then, probably. I'm not really scared of stock market crash. Okay. Maybe not from this country. Just like M. Night. Actually, I think he was born here. Because my jobs are good, but should I change my 401k type, like high yield retirement account or something? Or should I just leave it alone and take the chance? Even if it does crash, unless you're retiring right now, then it will still go back to a new high, theoretically, by the time you retire. And since you're not really scared of it, then why you even ask it? Why you even asking the question? You're doing it wrong. Sad spend 7746. Yeah, when you get sad, don't spend money. Don't do emotional spending. That's bad. Okay. Let's see. We got more this time. I've been skipping the extra words in some of them, but I'll do this one. Storm mode pushes us back to baby step 2, and this will happen. This is this is where life happened to us, and that is, in some cases, it's different than, oh, life happened. That means something as simple as, oh, well, yeah, my parents said they'd pay for the flight if we went on vacation with them, but then we had to pay $1,000 in other, like, for food and other expenses there. And that's a no on baby step 2, so you're doing it wrong. So that would not be life happening. That would be you screwing it up, you making a bad financial decision. Let's see, life has not been kind to us this year. We had 2 major catastrophic events. Okay, and if they're catastrophic events, they're catastrophic events, and that's probably what's going to happen is you are going to get pushed back a baby step or two. Let's see. After being debt free for years, I wouldn't go into detail. I won't go into details due to privacy. All right. Well, you're saying the catastrophic event, so I would tend, with a word like that, I would tend to agree with you that it was necessary to hit the emergency fund, but if it wasn't an emergency, you shouldn't have taken it out of there. Um, and you shouldn't have taken debt. Yeah, you would have debt. If you had to go back to baby step 2, that means you took out new debt, and that's a NAR to do. But basically, there was a major medical event and a natural disaster. All right, and a good chunk of the damage is not covered by insurance. We've spoken with an attorney and confirmed this. Okay. We have about 11K in debt to cover the rest of the house repairs. All right. Well, unless it's 100% necessary to do it right now, you let it wait if it's cosmetic stuff. You also don't take advantage of a broken faucet, a small water leak or something like that to remodel the entire bathroom. You don't do that crap either, but a bunch of people do. Let's say we're still going to need another 5 to 10K, but these final repairs can wait a couple months. Okay, exactly what I was talking about until I bounced back to work after medical leave. Medical bills are just starting to pour in. There's still 1 to 2 more procedures to go before spouse is totally out of the woods. So frustrated. We had increased our savings to hedge against inflation and recession. Well, you don't do that. You should have 3 to 6 months of expenses, whichever you decide. You should have 6 months of expenses, and the rest of that go to the other baby steps, which means investing, save for kid college if applicable, and pay off mortgage early if applicable. And so you don't have more than the 6-month emergency fund. You don't have any hedge savings. There's no hedge savings. So that would be doing it wrong. And so if you used all of that and then also had to go back into debt, always say had to, you're the one that chose to do it. You can always work out payment plans with medical facilities. Let's see. Boom. In the meantime, we're still in storm mode. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. I know that once spouse is back to work, we will be back to baby steps 4, 5, 6 in just a few months. Great. I guess I'm just looking for encouragement. I feel like we failed, and I just want this nightmare to be over. Well, maybe you did by giving up too early. I mean, life will throw adversity at you. That does happen from time to time. And when that does, it just depends on what exactly happened. But, just because something, say a little thing happened, I don't know what the medical procedure is that's going on here, but it could be that the second that happened, you freaked out and said, oh, well, we got to go back into debt, when you might not have had to, when you could have possibly just, it's still debt if you owe it to the medical facility, but that wouldn't actually be a loan with something. That would just be you making payments, and especially if there's not any interest on those payments, that would be great as well. So, nobody likes to do that, to do payment plans. Everybody wants to, let me borrow the money, and that way I won't owe the person that did the services. That way I can just owe the bank. It doesn't make a difference who you owe. Doesn't make a difference at all. But yeah, this is going to happen. But like you said, then it's just months and then you're back where you were, not as far ahead as if this didn't happen, but you're still back to where you were. So, and then you get further along there. But the idea of having, again, extra savings beyond the 6-month emergency fund to hedge against inflation and recession, that's dumb crap, and don't do that dumb crap. You need to be doing the other baby steps, 4, 5, and 6. I got a great idea. For a pledge against inflation and recession. Got a great idea. Get to step 7. Do the baby steps. That will be a good hedge against inflation and recession, not the dumb crap that you're thinking of. You're doing it wrong. Sorry you had medical issues there, but you're doing it wrong in a natural disaster. So, hurricane, storm, something like that, earthquake, who knows. Tactical emergency fund question. People always like to get overthinking it, probably. Let's see. John Breeden, 85. Duplicate post for my recent question in personal finance sub. Okay, I don't read that one, so this is the first time that I'm seeing it. And so even on a rerun, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. Question: how should one treat the cash on hand in their regular checking account in the context of emergency fund savings? Okay, definitely overthinking it here. Context: we keep approximately 6 months of expenses in a high yield savings account as our emergency fund. Right. We also try to have 1 month of expenses in our checking account at the beginning of the month so that we can pay for everything without worrying about dipping into savings to cover any shortage. More of a cash management timing thing than real shortage. Right. So this is what your budget does. Your budget allows you to do this. Guess what? If there's any shortage, that means you spent money that you shouldn't have, which means, of course, as always, you're doing it wrong. The thought occurred to me that our current process means we essentially have 7 months worth of expenses available for emergency, 6 in the emergency fund, and whatever dumb crap you're doing by having the extra. Now, people do save that stuff. Like have a little buffer in the checking account. And they have it so it's another month of expenses. Some people wait a month before they send the extra, just to make sure that what they are sending extra to debt is all going to be debt, or wherever you're sending the rest of the money. Investing or save for kid college or put extra on the mortgage. They want to make sure that it's actually going to be extra. But again, the problem with that, and like what you're doing, is what's the shortage is all about. So that's what you got to fix, not your other dumb stuff you're doing here. You got to fix the shortage. So if there's a shortage, guess what you did? You spent money that you didn't budget for. And so you got to look at that. And if that's happening every freaking month, then guess what? Somebody got a spending problem. Somebody's a spender. Spender on board here. And so, yeah, baby step 6 flare. So you, instead of having a month buffer, you want to have that paid on the mortgage. You want to apply it to 4, 5, and 6. If you're already doing your 15%, then you're done with that into retirement. 15% of gross income. And then if there are children and you want to save for kid college for them, that's step 5. And then on step 6, you do those all 3 in order at the same time. So it's priority, the 15% retirement. And then as far as the amount, the younger the kids are, the less you have to save per month for them. You can work that out in math, however much you want to have for them when they turn 17 or 18 and are college age. But yeah, so you overthinking it by trying to do your own little special thing there. It needs to be 6 months worth of expenses. And I also recommend for it not to be in a high yield savings account because emergencies don't wait 1 to 3 days for a transfer. And also, if the emergency, guess what? If the emergency, imagine this, the emergency is that the person that knows how to access the high yield savings account is unconscious, then you can't be doing that. You can't arrange that transfer if you're unconscious in the hospital, right? And so, that just little things like that. So that's why I like it to be completely liquid. Um, let's see, where else are we? So yeah, so this shortage here and more of a cash management. Yeah, no, it's not cash management. If it's a shortage, that means there's stuff that you did not put in the budget, but you spent anyway. So you're doing it wrong. So your tactical emergency fund question is actually a tactical budget question, meaning do better with your budget. And if there's something you forgot to put in there, you put it in the budget, and then you still don't have, and still that money's gone, right? So you still don't have that extra in the checking account. But yeah, some people do that where they like to be a month ahead so that they don't run into problems. But then you're a month behind, you're paying another month of interest on that much money that you could send to the mortgage, for example. But the idea is to get to baby step 7, and the way to do that is to not have extra savings, even an extra month of expenses. What up, Sid? Glocks and socks. Okay, that rhymes. Baby step 7, auto policy limits. We're in step 7 and we have one new car and an older van. Can anyone chime in on policy limits and deductibles that Dave recommends for the scenario? We have a $2 million umbrella over everything, if that helps. Cars and home together. Well, depends on how much the home is worth. If you can self-insure everything that you have, then you don't need the full coverage. So I would probably at least recommend liability only. The non-insured uninsured motorist thing. At least I would imagine you would want to have, but basically you don't need it if you do have that if that 2 million will cover completely, anything that you're at fault for with another accident, and your house being blown up or whatever happens to it, then you don't need the insurance. Where except as required by law, of course. See your own country and state law on that. But yeah, the idea in step 7 is that you are able to self-insure and can handle anything. And so you don't need the insurance, but of course you still have to have it. Look at the laws. Spiritual Ninja 3025, excuse me. Should I get life insurance? If anybody is dependent on your income, that's going to be a yes. If you have a wife and children, that's going to be a yes. If you are single, let's just read the actual question here, the actual situation here. As of last summer, I've been living with my boyfriend of 2 years. That's not advised. That's dumb. Do not do that. I got an idea. Get married and then move in together. We split rent and bills equally, so technically we rely on each other's income, but since we are not married, should we still get a life insurance? I'm 26 and he is 27. Well, since you're not following the advice anyway, and you're already shacking up together, you can just decide what you want to do about that as well. So say you didn't get life insurance, and if one of this couple can't afford the rent, then you got to no longer rent that. You'd have to move out of that place, and you'd have to live on less than one person makes. So that's the deal on that. That's what the life insurance is to take care of any dependents you have. And if you're just shacking up, you don't have a dependent. So you would just again, not following the Ramsey advice by living together before being married. That's right. If you can move in together, if you can make that step, then you can also get married. Why not get married? And then at that point, if you are married, then yes, then you would have the life insurance. So follow the advice and it gets easier. Because then it's a question. Since you're not following the advice, it doesn't matter what I tell you. Why are you going to listen to me on that, but not as far as the living together before getting married? Don't listen to me for anything in that case, or Mr. Ramsey, as it were. Pan Am 747. Should I sell land to pay off some debt? Yes. You do not have investment property or land while you still have debt. You shouldn't have bought that in the first place. I have about $63,000 of various kinds of debt. On a small lot I don't live on that I could sell for about $25,000, and it's paid off. Yeah, that is how it works. Good job. Figured it out. And when people ask questions like this, they already mostly, not always, but already mostly, they know that that's what they should do. They're just trying to get out of it, or just want to reassure that that's the right thing and that is the right thing. Yeah, I'd really hate to see it go. I don't give a crap about that. You just make up your mind whether you want to follow the Ramsey advice or whether you want to do your own stupid crap and debt leverage that land. As my first piece of real estate. Oh, how emotional. How nostalgic, huh? But I'm really considering selling it to speed up my debt payoff. And that is the Ramsey advice, to speed up the debt payoff by undoing the stupid crap you did before you found Ramsey. Before you were familiar with the Ramsey advice. So you undo all that dumb crap, like buying land while also having debt. That was dumb. That was so dumb. And so, yes, you would be selling that. How much you make a year does not affect it. $75K, that doesn't affect it though. And what would you do? I would follow the baby steps, and the Ramsey advice was where you do not have any kind of investment property like that. You would not buy until you were completely debt free. You also wouldn't buy a house until you were completely debt free and had your full emergency fund as well. So you did it wrong. And then when you start the Ramsey advice, then you fix all the dumb crap that you did wrong. That's how it works. That's like bonus. It's like a bonus part of the steps. And that generally, though, can get you further along by making such a move like that. That basically is the same as, where is it? How much was it? $25,000. So that basically is kind of the same as you doing another dumb thing, which is have $25,000 in savings while also having debt, instead of using the 25 in savings, or at least 24,000 of it, and keeping the $1,000 emergency fund, and putting that 24,000 towards debt. So that's basically the same thing there. But you would undo the non-Ramsey stuff, is the beginnings of the baby steps, and hopefully that gets you again $24,000 ahead than you were before. But you should have never been that behind, because you shouldn't have savings and debt at the same time anyway, beyond the $1,000 emergency fund, of course. The orange lunchbox, whether run or buy, my wife and I are in our 20s, still babies, with a combined household income of $200,000 with no debt, and have about $35K in savings. Great. Moving to a new metro area. 35, you want to have your 3 to 6 months of expenses as your emergency fund for sure, and you need moving money. Rent prices are minimum of $2,500 a month, but condo prices are in the $300 to $400K range. I'm struggling to justify renting in this scenario despite Ramsey's advice, due to the fact a mortgage in most cases will be cheaper than rent. Any suggestions for anyone who has or is not stuck to the Ramsey way in quotes. You have no debt, 35K in your emergency fund, moving in a new metro area. Okay, see, you got to specify for most people because I know what you're talking about, but I don't know that many of the other people will be that would read this that aren't so exposed to the Ramsey advice. But what you're talking about is when moving to a new area, you want to rent for a year. And yes, that's you still would do that in this case. Everybody wants to use the calculator and find how to get ahead the fastest way there, but the calculator way is not, it doesn't have a risk button on there to calculate that risk in. So if you don't like it and you buy a house, that was dumb as crap, wasn't it? You don't buy a house for somewhere you're not going to be in for less than 5 years. So you're doing it wrong. And so that my suggestion would be to that. And again, you can do whatever dumb crap you want to do. And you don't have to ask anybody on the internet or compare it to the Ramsey way, as you say. But that's the reason he has that. So you can do your little calculator justification station there. That's fine. But the advice is still going to be to rent until you're sure you want to live there. Because if you're new to the area, you haven't lived there, you don't know that you want to live there. You don't know if the job is going to work out exactly the way you think it is, etc., etc. So many things could go wrong in this scenario, and you don't want to have the additional thing of having to sell a house. So you're doing it wrong. And you're thinking about it all wrong. And again, you're only using calculator brain. You're not using risk. You're not involving risk in there. You have to add that to the whatever the calculator gives you. You have to factor in risk yourself because there is no risk button on the calculator. Not the calcu now, but the calculator. Routine resident 732 progress. You like progress? I paid out 65% of my debt. That's great. That's better than 64 for sure. I keep hammering out more and more each month. Great. My initial plan was to finish by September. Do you remember? Finishing by September. But I'm looking at June to July. If I keep... Okay, that doesn't fit. Never mind. If I keep it up. Right. I feel hopeful. Yeah, most people are able to get done with each step faster than they project. And the reason is because you see it working, and then you all of a sudden are thinking, oh, well, I was going to buy this Big Mac today for lunch, but I could just take a sandwich and then not buy that Big Mac for lunch, and then I could put that, and then I could be out of debt faster. You start thinking like that because you see it working. And so you change your mindset and you make it work faster. And that's why most people get out of debt and do the other steps faster than they project. Haven't done anything stupid, great. Financially, even though I was tempted by the fruit of another to buy that stupid bag. Yep. Tempted by the bag of another named Versace or something like that. They make bags, don't they? A pocketbook, as the old say. And many of you talked me out of it, breaking the cycle. Have a great week, everyone. Yeah, great. Yeah, you don't need a new handbag. Forsaken Entrance 352, obsessed with saving. Okay, you don't want to really be obsessed with anything. Just what the title says, it's not a bad thing per se, but it can't happen fast enough. Constantly inputting numbers. My husband calls it calculating. I'm always calculating, LOL. Yeah, it could also go into scheming and scamming. That's what Mrs. Ramsey He calls it when Dave does that, always calculating stuff when he overdoes it. You know, there's a fine line with that. There's a fine line between planning and, again, scheming and scamming. We're saving for a car and a new roof and new vinyl siding. It's so much money and it just doesn't seem to be happening fast enough. LOL. Does anyone struggle with this? Okay, so the problem here that I see doesn't say what baby step you're on. So none of that crap should be happening. If you have, unless the roof is actually leaking, and is this a car replacement or whatever? But see, the problem if I had new vinyl siding, do you need all that right now? The problem here is that unless you're on step 7, you're still trying to get baby steps done, and guess what? Buying a car and a new roof and new vinyl siding does not help the baby steps get done, does it? No, it doesn't. I'll save you the trouble of trying to think of the answer to that. I'll tell you the answer. It does not help the baby steps. And not only so, you see, it's bad enough if you just want to do one thing. Okay, if the new roof and the new vinyl siding wasn't a part of the equation and you would just be saving a car, you'd still be putting yourself behind the 8 ball on the baby steps because you're saving for a new car. You know, whether you need it or not, people throw around that word way too much. They say they need things that they don't actually need. They just want it. And we had to buy a car. Most times, no, you didn't. You chose to buy one. Like I said, the car itself would be, that's still going to put you behind, but then we have a new roof and a new vinyl siding, and that's what I always say, probably pretty much equal to you doing it wrong. People always do this as well. They want to do everything all at the same time. So they want to do car, roof, and vinyl siding. How about you pick one at a time? Unless the roof is leaking, and then you wouldn't save for a car, and you wouldn't save for new vinyl siding, and you would just get the roof repaired. How about repair the roof instead of get a brand new one? And if you've only had one estimate on it, one rougher look at it, and granted, I'm sure roofers like to make money, and so probably they might be more apt to say, yeah, you need a new one, instead of them just being able to patch it or fix it. And you're doing it wrong. And there's also the dumb crap that people like new roof and new vinyl siding that people would take out a HELOC for. And so that's not what you're supposed to do either, but it doesn't sound like you're doing that, but you are just saving the money for those expenses, but that means you are not getting along on the baby steps. And so if this is step 7, that's a different thing, because then that's fine. All this dumb bull crap you're doing, too many things all at the same time, that's fine. That's up to you. I would still set a priority order for these and do them one at a time. But if you're in step 2, no way on this. No way on this. The only time that would be is if it was an emergency and you 100% needed a replacement car. So that's the dealio on that. Don't do it wrong, and don't try to do everything all at the same time, and that's what everybody likes to do. And no wonder they get overwhelmed with it, because you're trying to do too much at the same time. You have X amount of income that's a fixed amount. So you can't be doing everything all at the same time. That is dumb. That is illogical, Captain. M1113, retirement and taxes. Yes, both of those happen. The only things that are certain are death and taxes. Hey all, totally new to this process, but I like big butts in it. This is lowercase though. I want to get rid of debt. Okay, great. That's fabulous. Let's see. We have about 50K in car loans, 20K in student loans, 30K in old personal loan. My husband and I make about 300K gross and 200K net income a year. That is a lot in taxes, dog. First step is that we are terrible with spending. That's not the first step. The first step is to save $1,000, and any savings you have, you would wipe that out down to $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. That's step one. What you mean is your first point or the first condition that you have. We're terrible with spending. Yeah, so that's part of baby step 0 is getting on that budget and living on less than you make. That's part of baby step 0. Which you're working on. Great. Work on it harder. Work on it harder and do whatever your dumb stuff you're thinking about less. One question I have, if one of the steps is to limit retirement contributions to pay off the debt faster, no, it's not to limit it, it's to cut it out completely. People are dumb. I mean, it doesn't say specifically here, so, I guess I can't. If you never watched the show, if you've never read any of the books or anything like that, by reading this list, you might think, oh, we're supposed to do all of the steps all at the same time, which is dumb. But some people do think that. Also, some people think that if you're already doing it, it's fine and you could just keep doing it. But no, you would stop investing while you do step 2. As I said, whatever dumb crap you're doing when you start the baby steps, you undo the dumb crap, such as my boy had the land, but he also had step 2 debt. So you sell the land to put on the step 2 debt. It would be the same if he had savings instead of land. You would liquidate that savings and put it towards your debt. And so if you are investing while you are on step 2, that's a NAR. Look, there's so much space here between those. Look, that's like 2 steps ahead. And you should only be doing step 2. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are one at a time in order without even thinking about the higher steps. So that's a no. Let's see where we at. Service spending. Yes. How do you all handle income taxes? What? If one of the steps is to limit retirement contributions to pay off debt faster, how do you all handle income taxes? Hey, guess what? By the way, those don't have anything to do with each other. See, in a conditional statement like this, if one of the steps is this, it should affect the other thing. You limiting retirement contributions or cutting them out entirely, which is what you should do when you're on step 2. You know why? Because you're not on step 4 yet. So, but this has nothing to do with income taxes. How does that tie in? Let's see. Maybe the last sentence here will tie it all together, and if so, I will apologize. But I think I'll be vindicated here. We're in a higher tax bracket, and I know lowering retirement contributions just increases our income taxes. Is there any alternative to this? Thanks. Yeah, there's an alternative for you not to worry about it. You make $300,000, you just pay the more in taxes. Dumb as crap. You're doing the Ramsey advice, which again means that you don't try to get every little tax deduction, or because you would be putting if your employer offers a Roth 401k instead of a 401k, you wouldn't be getting that reduction in taxes anyway. So you're doing it wrong. You're thinking about it wrong, and so stop it. So, and this is again, this is the scheming and scamming stuff. This is the like the financial bro stuff where you're worried about little crap instead of the important thing, which is your spending. How about I got a great thing? If you're terrible with spending, that probably costs you more money than the taxes do. How about that? Scary. Woo. Financial decision. Internal rub. 804. Alrighty. Let's see what's so scary. I made some bad investment decisions 4 to 5 years ago. Alrighty. Pulled money out of my condo via a HELOC. That was dumb as crap. And that is a home equity line of credit. That is correct. Good job. To invest to the tune of plus or minus $200,000. I didn't know what I was doing, that much is certain, but trusted the people, my friends, now ex-friends, who pushed the investment vehicles. Yes, dude. I mean, this is what these people do, that give you this dumbass advice. And but you know why? Because it makes them money, just like the whole life insurance salesman. They prey on their family and friends to use that relationship. That in this case, that relationship went away because you don't have those friends anymore. But they don't care because they already got you money because you were dumb enough to believe their crap. Let's see. Fast forward to today. Both are under police investigation with the chances of recovering the money slim to none. Yeah, this was your dumbass fault. You were dumb as crap, sir or madam. And so what we call this is a thing called stupid tax. So good job. Good job. I had been sitting, so I mean, even if you were gonna do this dumb crap, you would not do it on a loan. You would not tap your home equity. The good news here is that you didn't. If you have anything in retirement, that you didn't take that out either. As well. I mean, let's see. Yeah, so that money's probably gone. Congratulations. You dumb. Quit being dumb. Quit doing dumb stuff. I'd been sitting in guilt and disbelief for years. I can understand beating yourself up for being stupid. Yeah, I've done that too. Eventually you have to give that up and forgive yourself and just say, okay, I'm doing stuff right now. So, and I won't do that dumbass crap anymore. And so it'll get better. But the disbelief, yeah, it happened. So get over yourself with your little precious self there. Oh, I can't believe it. Yeah, eventually you have to get over that. That was 4 or 5 years ago, babe. If you're still having mental issues with it 4 or 5 years later and haven't accepted that it happened, then maybe you need counseling. Seriously, no, I'm not making fun. 5 years is a long time to not accept a mistake that you made. Since finding out about the state of the funds, yeah. However, I mean, okay, say best case scenario, right? This was a good investment or whatever, and it actually made money. It would still not be the Ramsey advice to take out a HELOC. Mr. Ramsey is the no debt guy, in case you did not know. So that's the dealio on that. However, with the fast increase in interest rates over the last 2 years, what was initially an additional $400 interest payment on that HELOC turned into $1,000 payment, something I couldn't sustain. Oh, buddy boy or buddy girl, you screwed up big time, didn't you? Finally last year, made some calculations, decided selling my property, taking whatever proceeds I had left, and starting over with the best financial decision for you. Yep. I mean, that's what you gotta do when you can't sustain some dumb crap like that you did, then that's when you gotta give up the house. That's when you gotta sell the house. So it could be I'm making money, so I could be saving this money that I was paying in interest. I sold my condo earlier this month and will be moving at the end of May. I'm walking away with 70K, and that's better than nothing. That I intend on investing in a safe vehicle until I'm ready to deploy it. That's going to be a no. You would apply it to whatever baby step you're on. If you have any debt, you would be paying that off. I mean, if you move out of the condo that has a HELOC, that would have to be satisfied out of it. So that's probably 70K after that, and the mortgage is taken care of. So, okay, so that takes care of that. So if you don't have any other debt, then yeah, but that's again should be an emergency fund, which is not an investment. So you don't put your emergency fund into an investment vehicle. You do not do that. Scary but exhilarating at the same time. Had I not sat down, you can do it while standing up too. I hate it when people say, well, you need to sit down and do, you can do a budget standing up as well. Had I not sat down and crunched the numbers, the emotion tied to this place would have stopped me in my tracks. Yeah, it's good to accept the reality of numbers for sure. Embrace the reality always. I'm a big fan of reality. My plan is now rent for a while. Yep. Saving up for a down payment on a house. Yep. That I can rent out completely or partially if I decide to live there. That's a no. No down payments on a investment property. That's a no. No. You're still doing dumb crap. I have no other debt. Use my credit card monthly. I also pay it off monthly. Also not advised. So, I mean, I get the feeling here we're going to be doing more non-Ramsey stuff. And so you don't have to run your life through the Ramsey prism. You can just do whatever dumb crap you want to do, but this is not what you do. I have money in RRSPs that I contribute to monthly, as well as a few stocks. No single stocks is the Ramsey advice as well. Car's 10 years old, paid off in great condition. I intend on ramping up my savings and really being smarter about investing. What you should do is, if you're going to stay in the area you're in, you should put a down payment on a house for you to live in, or perhaps another condo, instead of trying to be a financial bro and put a mortgage, debt leveraging an investment property. That's a no from Mr. Ramsey, dog. And from Coach Steve Money as well, of course. I no longer believe that condos are the best investment in property long term. It doesn't matter what you believe, because you believe a lot of dumb crap. So, let's see, in saving, paying myself first monthly, something I've really latched onto since being more focused on my finances. For those who have been here or have more knowledge than I, can I do anything else different to move ahead quickly? Yeah, not do any of the dumb crap you're thinking about. How about you follow the Ramsey advice? You're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit, you idiot. Let's see, how many, 15 comments. Stop trying to move quickly, make a plan and follow it for a long time. Forgive yourself for the poor decision, sure. Call Ramsey, that's right, and he'll tell you, you do not take out a mortgage for investment property, you idiot. He won't call you an idiot, but I will. Did you learn nothing from your dumb investment decisions already? So turn off the TikTok advice, turn off the financial bro advice, and do good. Make good financial decisions every day, of course. As we should do. Let's see. Award usual 3388. How much should we, 37-year-old married couple, save for retirement if we are just starting now? Okay, and again, people always try to make the baby steps way more complicated than they are. The beauty of it is that they are very simple. Hey, look at this. What does step 4 say? And so if you're not on step 4, there's no investing. So that part is easy, right? Also, I wonder, let's say I'm 37. How much should I invest? Let's take a look at step 4. It says invest 15% right there. Did you not consult the baby steps? Did you not read the list of baby steps? It doesn't say invest 15% of your household income. Oh, unless you're 37 and then you invest this amount. It does not change depending on age. Quit trying to make it more complicated than it is. That is so nutty. People are nutty. I am endlessly amazed at how nutty people are. After years and years of living as artist types whose goal was to break even every month, that's dumb as crap, and have a little saved for emergencies. My wife, breaking even is better than going into debt for sure, but that's generally not good. So break even means, oh, we got some extra money, let's spend extra. That's not the way you should do it. My wife is graduating from veterinary school. She'll be making more money than she used to. $100,000 and potential for more in the future. And we will finally be in a position to start paying off our debt totes aggress, and then start saving for retirement. However, we're both 37 years old, so we are definitely behind the curve. Like many of you, we never learned anything about finance, budgeting, debt, etc. from our parents or schooling. However, we are blessed, #blessed, to have woken up and are doing our best to correct that now. In the last couple of years, we have become comfortably numb. Let's see. To correct that now. In the last couple of years, we've become serious budgeters. It's been a game changer. Plan on keeping our budget more or less the same as it is now. Our current month budget is $4,500 per month in expenses. That might be too much too. So you could still look for things to cut out, even if you think even if you're going to be making a lot more money, and you're going to keep it around the same amount. There may be stuff in this 4,500 that you can cut out. 54K annual. I don't want us to give into lifestyle creep. Well, then don't let it happen then. How about you don't let it happen? If you actually don't want it to happen, then make sure it doesn't happen. And instead, have a vision plan for what to do with the extra money we will be making. Paying off the debt is obviously the first step. We already have a small emergency fund. So what I'm going to recommend is that you do the baby steps, and that means you only have $1,000 in your emergency fund, and then you pay off debt, and there's no investing yet. There's no extra savings yet. All that extra money goes to paying off your dumb-ass debt, which is probably you have some veterinarian school debt, perhaps. Where are we? But then what? You do the baby steps. It's easy. My big question now, overthinking it, how can you look at the baby steps and think, this doesn't apply to me, I need special advice. And that's a no, it's the same advice for everybody. Can you some advice on how much we should save every year for retirement? You don't think about that right now. What you think about right now is paying off your debt. And then after that, you still don't think about it, because then there's another step. It's called step 3, your full emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. And only then would you start investing. So you're trying to move ahead too fast. You're doing it wrong. I did it wrong. I clicked on the wrong thing, but I'm on the right thing now. How much do we need to save every year to retire in the state of Mississippi? Pretty low cost of living for the U.S. by 65 years old. I'll tell you what. Before you go to sleep at night after you're tired from working extra to pay off your debt, why don't you run the calculator and figure that out your own self? Okay? You're not supposed to be doing that now. And you spending too much time on that right now is counterproductive to you getting out of debt. Because again, I don't know what you're thinking. If you're thinking, oh, well, we can retire, we can put money into retirement and pay off debt at the same time. That's a no. I understand this that depends type question. Yeah, we don't know what your expenses are going to be, so we can't figure that out for you. What you need to do is get yourself into the best financial position possible. And how you do that is by doing the baby steps and not doing as much calculator stuff. So please treat it as a thought experiment. I hate those. You don't need to think about it at all. You just do what the advice is, if you're going to follow the advice. If not, you can do whatever dumb crap you want to do. It's fine. And you can use a calculator to figure that out if you want. Let's see. There are different answers to the same. Understand there are different answers to the same question. Not if you're following the Ramsey advice. There's not. That's for you to shut up about this right now. You don't need to worry about it. You, of course, can run any kind of projections you want to, but, I mean, you know, if you're a veterinarian, you would think also you would be capable of the math to figure this out. But we don't know what expenses will be when you retire, so we don't know exactly how much you will need. So the idea is to do 15% while you're still paying off your mortgage, and then after you're done with your mortgage, you're on step 7, then you can invest as much as you want, even past the 15% of gross income. So that would be the perspective to that. And so there's not different answers to the question if you're following the Ramsey advice. And look where you are. You're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. Imagine that. How much would you save every year if you were starting from nothing at 37? None of that matters. See, again, focusing on the wrong thing. And wanted to retire by 65. And where would you put that money? On the passive, like 401k, IRA, ETFs. Or would you mix in some real estate and other more? You can't do real estate. You have to buy real estate completely in cash. So that's a no. Active investing, generating income in the future. If this was a game, how would you play it? All right. You're thinking about it too much. You're trying to financial bro it here. And we don't do that with the Ramsey advice. So good luck. Phases on stun. Kirk out. But pay off your dumbass debt first and then worry about this stuff while you're saving your full emergency fund. Then you'll still have plenty of time to work out the math on how much you should save. But the idea would be that you would do 15% of gross income. You see, it's not based on what you need so you can retire at 65. That's not what it's based on. It's based on you putting 15% of gross income into retirement and not anything above that, no matter what your age is, while you're still paying off mortgage. Unless you're going to be renting forever. And so that, of course, is up to you as well. So you're doing it wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. And, of course, that does happen quite a bit. Alrighty. Oh, let's look at what's the next one? Just so I remember it. Because they switch sometimes, so I might not be able to just look at that one and do the next one. Student loan help, alright? Student loan help, and then the sell or not to sell. If they're asking, almost always it is yes, sell. Alrighty. Once again, youtube.com/coachstevemoney is where you're watching this. I am a Ramsey Solution certified financial coach. And if you've got money problems or you just want to make sure that you are on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation / assessment with me at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. That link is in the ticker below. Also in the video description. You can email me at coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney or turn over to the CashApp at $CoachSteveMoney. A Walmart gift card to that same email address, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Upcoming streams. This stream is the Ramsey Show Aftershow show, and until further notice, that is Monday through Friday, 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time. The exact, maybe not the exact second, but pretty close. to when the Ramsey show is done on YouTube for the day. And that's, again, approximately 5:27. I'm not changing it from 5:25 here because it will be posted. It's posted before, like generally about 15 after 5 Eastern time is when I post the show. And then it's here waiting for me to just hit the start streaming button. Alrighty. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and then thank you so much if you've done those things already. And as always, make smart financial decisions, not just sometimes, not just Mondays, not just Tuesdays, but every day.